Good evening, Scotland. Good evening, social media land. I hope you're well. It is Friday, the 1st of September, 2023. Welcome to Saorsa Live. Last Friday, a member of the well-loved independence campaigning group, Yes Bikers, experienced a tragedy in their ranks. I'm going to read directly from their Facebook page. On Friday, one of our riders, Sandy McCracken, was riding to the Skye Independence event, and he was involved in a serious crash on the A87. Sandy was airlifted to the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital in Glasgow, where he was admitted to the critical care ward. Sandy had been severely injured in the accident, and sadly, at 4:50 on that morning, Sandy passed away. We have spoken to Sandy's family, and they have told us that Sandy said when his time was to go, he wanted to go on the bike, and his partner Sheila said it was very fitting that when it did happen, he was home in Scotland. Many of you will know that Sandy was an avid supporter of Yes Bikers and had attended many of our rides all the way from his home in Coventry. Yes Bikers would like to express our deepest sympathy to Sandy's family, Sheila, Sandy's partner, their son William and daughter Rhonda, at this very sad time. You will be missed, Sandy. We will remember you as a Yes Biker and a patriot. I would like to also take this moment to express our deepest sympathy to Sandy's family as well. Yes Bikers are a well-known and deeply positive set of campaigners for the independence movement. Their members collectively are like family together. So to have this happen, it will all be felt by them greatly. To those that I know personally within the bikers, please express my personal love and strength to you all in this great time of sadness. And I'm going to bring in the guys just now as well, so they can pay tribute to Sandy too. Hi Dave, hi Aaron, how are you tonight?
Yeah, all right.
All right.
It's a very big shame to hear that Sandy had died in the hospital.
Yeah, it was tragic. I mean, he's been up to quite a lot of the events and riding up and stuff like that. I never knew him personally, but I know a couple of the guys within the bikers, and I know that they'll all be feeling it. You know, it'll be hitting them all hard. What have you got to say, Dave? Have you got anything?
Yeah, well, like you, I didn't know Sandy personally, but it is really sad that happened. Yeah, so suddenly.
It is.
It's really sad.
We just have to fight harder for Sandy now as well. You know, it gives something a little bit. It makes things a bit clearer that why we're wanting this. We want everybody to experience independence, and there's no reason why we can't push and push and push for this. And you know, when we get independence, we can raise a glass to Sandy then as well and say, look, we've done it, brother, we've done it. But yes, you know, we have to move on, and we have to keep the fight going and things. So this will, that's our little tribute to Sandy. You will be sorely missed. And let me quickly have a quick look to see who's in the chat just now. Hopefully I'm going to say your name correctly. Okay, Kinyuch. Is that how you say it? Because you sent me a nice little way of doing it, and I was saying it wrong. Kinyuch. I hope I'm saying it right. Druss is here, Vinny's here, Helen's here, Hashberry's back in town. Helen, nice to have you all here. And listen, please, if you're watching across various different platforms, please just say hello in the chat. Yes, that's it. Did it. Kinyuch. Yes, I'm so proud of myself. There we go. Listen, we are going to be talking tonight about that myth that is GERs, the Labour's Uturn Culture. We'll have a wee chat as well about tomorrow's march in Edinburgh, hosted by Beleive in Scotland, and yes for EU. And we will also have a little Saorsa celebration as well at the end of tonight. But we will always start with Blair's Scottish word of the week, and here it is just now.
Your Scots word of the week is hacket. And hacket is a really ugly person. It's not a very nice word. This word is most often applied to women, unfortunately. And here's a wee example sentence. I dinna fancy her, she's hacket. Which means I do not fancy her, she is ugly. Not a very nice thing to say to a person.
Is definitely not a nice thing to say to anybody at all. But I'm going to challenge the panel tonight to use the word hacket in context throughout the night at any time they wish. And let's see if they do it. And you two guys as well that are in the chat as well, you can use hacket to describe something that we're talking about as well tonight. So before we begin, let's just see, what have you been up to, Dave? Anything exciting over the past couple of weeks?
No, not really. Just getting ready for being in Edinburgh this week.
That's right. You're in Edinburgh right now, aren't you? You're in my city.
I'm actually an interloper in your city this week.
We won't call you an interloper. You're a brother in arms for independence, my friend. So that's just, you're definitely not an interloper. But then we've got Aaron. He's out west just now, and he's still got to flip a coin to decide whether or not he's going to come to the march tomorrow. Let's just make him feel guilty. Everybody in the chat, say, you've got to come. You've got to come. How are you doing, Aaron?
You've got to be there, Aaron.
You have a hacket personality, by the way.
Oh,
that's hacket.
Sentence, and he nails it. Shocking.
I actually called somebody that the other day in work. It was really funny.
Listen, I want to say a thanks to Blair as well for always making these wonderful word of the weeks for us. She made a whole series of them. We've got 2 left in that, so I'm going to give her a wee call and say, can you make me another 6, please? Because they're really good. Right, so I'm just going to basically take over the camera just now, and we're going to start getting into talking about GERs. Okay, so GERs. On Wednesday, the 16th of August, it was GERs Day, the day that the Scottish Government publishes the books of the expenditure of Scottish finances, demonstrating clearly again that we would be far better managing all of our own national spending. Before I give my tuppence on this, I'd like to give you all the actual context that GERs is delivered upon. The Scottish Government and all our local councils must, by act of law, balance their budgets each year. 41% of spending and 64% of revenue is reserved to Westminster, making it impossible to control our own fiscal and economic direction. We have no pertinent borrowing powers that can contribute to any form of deficit, and this being the playing field of the reality of GERs, let's discuss the pertinent points of the GERs report this year. So Scotland's total revenue increased by 20.7%, or basically £15 billion, compared with an 11.3% rise for the rest of the UK as a whole. Scotland's national deficit fell from 24.8 billion to 19.1 billion year on year, while the whole of the UK flatlined and didn't drop at all with their deficit. Scottish revenue is round about 16,000 per person, which is round about £700 higher than the rest of the UK, which has a figure of at the low end of 15,000. Scotland received more than 9 billion in North Sea revenues. However, a further, wait for this, 78.1 billion went to Westminster. It is important to place the amount into a UK-wide context. That 78.1 billion amounts to round about 7.7% of all of the UK's revenue. That's a lot of money. This truly demonstrates how Westminster clearly benefits from the pillaging of Scotland's abundance of natural resources, and not how Scotland benefits from alleged union handouts. But a quick question for you all, though. Do you think that this has an influence on Westminster and Westminster's reluctance, to allow, and when I say allow, Scotland to exercise democracy with a yes-no referendum on independence? I personally think it does, because if the share of North Sea revenue for the rest of the UK equates to 7.7% of the entire their entire revenue, they cannot afford to lose us at all. Scotland, as a normal independent nation, would have the powers to make different choices with a different budgetary results to best serve Scotland's interests. We would be able to borrow and invest from our own central bank. But right now, though, we are bound to the UK's economic model and do not hold all the financial levers to make Scotland the definitive success that we are destined to be. Considering Scotland is operating with one hand tied behind our backs, sometimes both hands tied behind our backs, we should be proud that we are outperforming the rest of the UK on most economic factors. And as always, GERs is a reflection of Scotland within the Union, not one as an independent nation. That is probably the most important thing about GERs. And one last thing before we bring the rest of the guys up again. Never forget that the deficit that is crooned on about by Anglo-British nationalists, hell-bent on demonising their own country, has actually been created by the government that they love so much. Mismanagement of spending by the likes of Alistair, Jack and Westminster is what creates the deficit, not the Scottish Government. So take heart that our financial future as an independent nation is secure and stable, not compared to the rest of the UK that will lose at least 7.7% of their national income, or even more, once we leave. Gentlemen, bring your mics back on, please. GERs. We'll start with Dave. Dave, tell us all about GERs, your opinion of it and how it works in your brain.
Well, to me, personally, GERs is a lot of absolute nonsense. It's an estimation, so it doesn't really give you an accurate figure of Scotland within the Union. Mm-hmm. So how can it actually reflect what an independent Scotland would be like? Personally, I don't think it can, because it doesn't actually give you an accurate picture in the UK.
No.
You see,
when you go.
The thing is with GERs is that it shows how much money the Scottish Government is actually spending. and how much they're making. But like parking fines and stuff like that, people getting caught and speeding fines or whatever. But it doesn't show things like the oil, like Mo says. It's we want to contribute towards net zero, but you still need oil. Do you know what I mean? And it's still a 70, 80, 90, 100 billion pound business that's sitting right on our doorstep.
We need to be working with a fair and honest transition away from the fossil fuels, though, to set an example. It doesn't happen overnight. Okay, it might not even happen in our lifetime, you know. But we can certainly benefit from that pushing forward. And they still need oil as well to a certain extent. Maybe not burning as a fossil fuel, but for chemicals as well and things.
That's what I was about to say. Like,
oh, sorry.
No, I was waiting till you had finished. I was going to say that somebody, it obviously says, we don't want the oil anymore, but I says, you're going to need the oil anyway. Pardon me. Mm-hmm. To use to create grease to put on the wind turbines. So obviously every part needs grease. Your electric cars, your hydrogen cars, any machine that will need anything with a moving part is going to need greased, and it's usually from oil that you get these things, you know.
And it's true. So that transition away from it, they're still going to be using some of it anyway, with regards to everything. There's some interesting comments coming up in the side chat just now. Canuck is saying, also to notice businesses that run and operate in Scotland but are registered in England does not show as a revenue from Scotland, but it shows as going into the treasury from England. This is very true. Hashbury Stumble is saying GERs also include spending not within the control of the Scottish Government. This is very true as well. So all your vanity projects and the likes of like your high-speed railway, which is like rubbish, and all that incredible stuff that they've done in London is something that we have to consider also. GERs is not a respectable way of measuring the financial success of Scotland whatsoever. I don't believe it at all. And Scott Sov, yeah, pal, I've not seen you for ages. You need to come on, Chris. We need to meet you, get you back into Discord and have a chit chat. I don't believe for 1 second that Westminster hasn't got both generally recognised sides showing up. One is overt unionism and the other is covert unionism to burn off the energies of independent supporters. Yeah, I totally agree with that. There has to be a proper set of books somewhere that basically shows everybody what is going on.
Okay? It's called in a Westminster vault.
Well, there's the accounts are always there. They have to show the public accounts, but they can word it and shove it around into different columns to make it look as positive or as negative as they truly want. Dave, how do you feel about businesses being registered in England that actually trade in Scotland, so the revenue's counted towards England rather than Scotland?
I think it's just a total fix, really, because if they're doing business in Scotland, then it should be showing up as business in Scotland. So I think it's just a way of actually just fiddling it, basically, to prevent us from knowing the truth.
Yeah, this is true. Vinny's just come up with a thing as well. They're just now saying, remember that the oil revenues were used for building of the Channel Tunnel and the M25 and Docklands as well. The big financial district. There's great pictures of what London looked like. Yeah, Canary Wharf. Yeah, before and after oil was found, and you have to look at the surprising thing when oil was actually discovered in the North Sea as well. We had our own sort of trading, sort of stocks and shares, stock market things in Scotland. But before it started to come ashore, the stock markets were all closed and sent south. So we couldn't actually trade on our own oil. So we would never have known what the worth of our own oil is. And then you've got the Macron report that kept things secret for God knows how long. So, I mean, why on earth should we, in any manner or form, trust what Westminster says about any form of financial books? They've got form and a track record for turning round and making it out that we just can't do anything on our own at all. And it's just ridiculous. I've got a couple of little links here as well. Okay, so for anybody that wants, they're quite long links, but I'm going to stick them in the side chat just now. This is one which basically asks the question, does Scotland have to balance their budget? Yes, they do. The Scottish Government is required to set a balanced budget each year. So that big long link that I've just put there is from a Scottish Government website that, oh, hang on a second. I don't think that's actually come through properly. Maybe it has.
Do you know what I was about to bring up?
See?
I'm just going to plug this wee gap here while you're doing that.
No problem.
You were saying about businesses registered in Scotland. Businesses headquartered in Scotland are all paying corporation tax to Westminster. And I learned that Tesco Bank is actually headquartered in Edinburgh.
Wow.
Which is very, very random information. There is a hell of a lot of businesses that are actually headquartered in Scotland. There's a lot of them. It's like you've got like Weir National, or the Weir Group. It was like Jim McCall that bought Ferguson Marine.
Yeah.
That was his company. They're headquartered here. There's hundreds of companies. There's plenty of companies that are actually headquartered here. Now, if we were independent, we would have their corporation tax. The corporation tax for the United Kingdom is 25%. If we could put it lower, we could attract more companies.
Mm-hmm. No, this is true. The thing you've got to look at, though, as a whole, right, there's so many loopholes as well in business taxation that they can get away with stuff. I mean, you look at some of the big companies that don't pay their full allotment of tax that could contribute to the economy as a whole. I'm going to talk about that in just a minute, actually, which is quite funny. But that link that I put up, it is working okay. It came up as an error on StreamYard for me, but that is a link that actually expresses why, shows how that the Scottish Government has to form a balanced budget each year, which is important. Davey, were you going to say something there about that?
Right. Yeah, I was actually going to say something about the deficit. I don't know what that link actually takes you to, but if people actually take time to actually read the what's it called? It's gone completely.
That's okay.
But there's actually law in the UK where none of the devolved parts of the UK can run a deficit. They're not allowed to do it. That's
true. They're not allowed to. They have to deliver a balanced budget every single year from the pocket money that they get.
The agreement is actually the devolution settlement. If people actually read that, it states in it that Scotland is not allowed to run a deficit.
There you go. Very true. But people, when we've been on TikTok and when I discuss things with some unionist friends on Instagram, I'm say friends loosely, they like to come up with saying, but Scotland is running a deficit. It says, well, the deficit's created by Westminster as a whole. This is one of the reasons I'm putting these links up here just now, so people can actually use them and quote them. Here's another one as well. Under the current constitutional settlement, as you were saying, the Scottish Government has to deliver against one rule set by the UK government, and is also required under Scottish legislation as well to balance the annual budget. So these links will take you to these specific places as well. I've got another link I'll put up in just a second for you as well. 1 second, which is following the Scotland Acts in 2012 and 2016, the Scottish Government has the power to undertake, this is about borrowing. Okay, so we can actually borrow right? But listen to the limitations of how this works, right? It's quite funny. So following the Scotland Acts 2012 and 2016, the Scottish Government has the power to undertake capital borrowing up to 3 billion with an annual limit. Wait for this. So we can take up to 3 billion. That's the pot that's there, but we're only allowed to take 450 million a year. And this is resource borrowing. So it's for things like infrastructure and stuff like that. Okay. It's not for pretty much anything other than that. And we have to bend over backwards and beg to get it from the Treasury. It's not like a case of like they can wave a magic wand and basically just have it. So let me just quickly put that link up as well. So if anybody ever says to you, oh, well, Scotland does have borrowing powers, turn around and say, well, yeah, of course we do, but this is what it's for. It's like we have a cap and we're only allowed to take so much, and it's for infrastructure only. We can't use it for anything else. It can't offset anything else. And I'm pretty sure, I've not found it yet, I'm pretty sure that there's some clause in there if we do borrow that it comes off the budget. I'm not too sure. I need to find out, but please do not quote me on that. Yeah, and Hashberry's just said as well that the borrowing limit's just been increased. That's great. Thanks very much for that, Westminster. But does it really make that much of a difference in the
You
grand
still
scheme of
suck,
things?
Westminster.
This is true. So the Scottish Government is able to borrow for both resource and capital spending, but does not have the same powers as a UK government in these areas. And resource spending is a day-to-day spending on delivering of public services like the NHS or education. Scotland is only able to borrow money to account for errors in the forecasting or for cash management. And this can be up to 600 million if there's a specific Scotland-based economic shock. Yeah, so it's all on a discretionary basis. I've got lots of bullet points here about this, about GERs. Honest to God, when it comes to like what's it called, the whole thing to do with this, it drives me bananas. Can you imagine, okay, Scotland being in charge of its own fiscal policy, where we received the entire taxation into a Scottish Treasury, the entire sort of revenue from North Sea and renewables, the ability to generate our own energy that we could export and then allow cheaper energy for our own people in Scotland. We would do things so differently compared to Westminster, and people seem to forget that. It's not like when we're attacked on various platforms by people sort of like mocking us about finances and stuff like that. I feel sorry for them. Because at the end of the day, it's like they seem to live in this little box, this little paradigm of where the union is best. And it's disappointing because we can all see for the past God knows how long that the union is just fleecing Scotland. It's no good at all. There's a couple of other things as well. I don't think I've not got the images, but we will briefly talk about this and then we'll have a quick look at what the side chat's saying. Right, so the UK government, wait for this, right? So let's just say our deficit was what, about £19 billion, I believe. Okay, so the UK government, gentlemen, wait for this, loses around £265 billion a year down a black hole. That's not taxes. That's just mismanagement of funds. That's to do with like accidentally giving money to their buddies and their friends, and that's got a bit of jingoism going on there as well. It's all to do like £265 billion a year.
Do you know the most ironic part about all of this is that the Prime Minister was an investment banker and he's still losing all this money.
But he also
I wouldn't
was
like
one
to
of
see him run his Wayne's piggy bank.
Well, he was also one of the people that were involved with the schemes that ended up forming the crash that we had about a decade ago that we're still
In
recovering from.
2008.
Yeah, that's the one. Oh, was it 2008? Was it that long ago?
2008 financial crash.
Where have the years gone? And let's continue with this, though. Let's now talk about how much is lost in unpaid taxes a year. Around about £42 billion in unpaid taxes is lost. So here's a beautiful thing to say. You're running at a £19 billion deficit. No, we're not. We can't create that. Okay, and before you start criticizing us, just remember that 265 billion a year just goes down a black hole, and 42 billion a year is basically not chased by the Treasury. In fact, you know something? I think it was going to cost more to chase that in the long term, or for every pound spent and getting it back, they just don't. It's just not worth for them to go and do it at the end of the day. Let's have a quick look back in the side chat. Let me scroll back a wee bit past my links. I saw something interesting. Lee McCormick Lanny. We shouldn't trust them at all. I like this one. We shouldn't trust them at all, but not enough people know or understand our economic plundering. Maybe I should go and start watching the Scott economy. What's that? I saw it further down. Hold on.
Scotonomics.
Scotonomics. Yeah, it was Hashbury that was saying that. It's a great show that can that taxation doesn't pay for spend. I'm going to actually go and have a look at it. I need to be educated a little bit more on that. And we need to get Will on as well sometime, because he is somebody that can talk about the financial situation in Scotland far better than what I can. And Barry, the PM looks like a banker. Is that a spelling error? Did you say that?
That's the first thing I thought about. It looks like a banker because the guy's like a robot. And do you know, funny enough, for years I've been saying that the United Kingdom is an oligarchy, and it has been an oligarchy for the last 300 previous years.
Yeah.
And it says that they're all oligarchs, and funnily enough, the big man's just put PM as an oligarch.
Yeah, which is true. Interesting point from Steve there as well. You're absolutely right, Steve. We should be talking about what comes after. This is just because it's a relevant topic, because we just had GERs a couple of weeks ago. I could talk about what comes after, the positive stuff, all day and all night, and we will do a show on that. So I really appreciate you bringing that up just now, my friend. It's important that we do talk about the positives. We also need to show people the sort of like the negative side of the union. We're all true believers, like yourself. We 100% are true believers. And this isn't new, as another Facebook user's just said. So just basically because these are up-to-date kind of figures from GERs, and I didn't have an opportunity to come on live before to talk about GERs. I'm just catching up just now. Yep, and Alf Beard, brilliant professor about stuff to do with stuff as well, Peter. You're absolutely right. Right, I think that we'll leave GERs where it is there just now. I'll just wrap up with a wee comment about GERs, which is it's very subjective report and truly demonstrates a manipulation of figures to place Scotland in a negative frame. The UK is already performing poorly relative to many countries in Europe, especially countries of a similar size to Scotland. While comparable independent countries lead the way on levels of fairness, happiness and social equality, the UK currently has the worst levels of poverty, inequality in Northwest Europe compared to countries with similar features to Scotland like Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, Iceland, Belgium, Netherlands, Ireland, Austria and Switzerland. And let's just have a think about what do these countries have that Scotland doesn't? Well, they have all the economic levers and the ability to look after their own fiscal policies. Nothing new there, okay? But it is important to remember that as well, which is the case. Right, so we're about to now rip Labour to pieces. This is nothing new as well, but it's because it's a topic which is close to my heart because of the Rutherglen and Hamilton West by-election that's coming up. We can push that to the side if we want to, but I think it's an interesting thing to look at for the whole thing. We'll come on to this at the end of it all. I have a bit of a Labour U-turn and flip-flopping chart here that I'm going to read through. So listen if you dare. But it's just Labour. What can I say? Right. Okay. So Labour have been making it clear that they're more Tory than Tories by U-turning on most of their promises. And it's embarrassing. So we'll just quickly rush through these. Okay, they're wanting to abolish tuition fees, but now they've changed their mind. So Starmer promised to end the national scandal of spiralling student debt with a vow to abolish tuition fees. The commitment formed one of his 10 pledges, but he's backtracked on that. He had the Green Prosperity Plan, which on his first in-person conference since winning the leadership contest, way back a few years ago, Labour vowed to invest 28 billion a year in climate-related measures to protect the UK from disaster. But in June, they delayed plans for a Green Prosperity Fund to start in the first year of government, saying it would ramp it up in the middle of the first Parliament. Common ownership, the launch of the Great British Energy Company, a publicly owned energy run on clean UK power, was announced at the Labour conference. And now Reeves has said the policy was not compatible with the new fiscal rules she would introduce. Raising income tax for the highest earners, that would have been perhaps a good idea, I don't know. But and in an interview in the Telegraph, Starmer suggested he wanted to lower taxation, but was not looking to the lever of taxation. Labour says it is still committed to scrapping non-dom tax status and cracking down on tax avoidance. Don't know how they'll do that. They wanted to defend migrants' rights. So Labour messaging on defending migrants' rights has shifted under Starmer's leadership. When standing to become leader, Starmer said, "I want families to be able to live together, whether that be in Europe or here. We have to make the case for freedom of movement." But he has since ruled out a return to open borders as the UK already has left the EU. A tech company's tax rate. He was wanting to basically put a bit of a taxation on some of the high earning tech companies. They pledged to increase the levy charge on the revenues of such tech companies operating within the UK from 2 to 10%, including Amazon and Facebook. But after fears of a potential trade war with the US were raised, Labour dropped the plans. They wanted to end universal credit. Starmer promised to abolish the benefit system and end Tories' cruel sanctions regime, but Labour has since reversed this idea as well. And then the Rosebank oil and gas field. Labour has vowed to block all new oil and gas developments in the North Sea. And the party has been critical of government plans to develop the huge Rosebank field with shadow climate change secretary Ed Miliband saying the proposals would drive a coach and horse through climate commitments. After Miliband's public criticism, Labour said it would not block the Rosebank initiative. Recently, there's been a no wealth tax thing. Reeves also confirmed that Keir Starmer's leadership pledged to increase the 45p top rate of income tax, as it was widely thought to be the case, is now off the table too. And they're backing away from the trade unions as well. The party of the unions backing away from it all. Now, this is the Labour that thinks that they can take Scotland, you know, and some of them they're doing all right in the polls for something. I'm going to show you this as well just now in a minute. But this is particular about the Rutherglen thing, and it's important that we realise that they could actually take Rutherglen and Hamilton West. Sorry, they could actually take it. They're marginally ahead in the polls. I'll show you what it was sitting at before. Hold on a sec. So this is when Margaret Ferrier was within the SNP and things. They had quite a strong window, sort of like a big swing there. You can see, was it 44.2% compared to Labour's 34.47. And now if we look at what is the predicted one, hang on, that's the wrong one. Present and predicted. Let me just make sure we're on the right ones here. Yes, so Labour is kind of marginally ahead. Is that coming up on your screens properly, boys? I
Yes,
don't know. It is.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
okay.
stuff
I
on
just
my
think
screen.
it's
Fine.
I think
That's
it's
okay.
really funny that the Labour and SNP have got a name, but the Tories and the Liberal Democrats are unknown.
Oh, they've got their ones now. That was from a couple of weeks ago.
I
From
just thought that was really
thanks,
funny.
Ashbury. Yeah, no, it was on my screen. It was a bit of a delay. I was like going, "Huh? What's going on?" Yeah. So this whole thing we have to remember this is a great campaigning tool for the independence parties, to try and push it. Now, I'm going to be frank and honest here about how I feel about this thing going on here. I think that I think Alapa's done the right thing by withdrawing any sort of form of candidate for that constituency. SNP have to field somebody. They're the party of government to do it. And I'm a Green voter as well, and I'm quite pleased that the Greens have put a candidate in. But from an independence point of view, I think that maybe it wasn't the right thing in case, you know, that drains some votes away from the SNP candidate. As much as some people may love or not love so much the SNP, they're the closest party that they've got for winning a seat there. And I think that if they lose it, it's going to be used as a whipping rod to express why they're not doing so well, and quite rightly so, to be perfectly honest. I mean, I'm a card-carrying member of the SNP, and I would vote for them if they were in there just because they're the party of independence. But the long and short of it is that the tactics need to be upped, and this whole thing with Labour U-turning on everything. Why would anybody in Scotland want to vote for that? I'm going to go into the comments just now. What does everybody think about that just now? Okay, with regards to how do people here feel, you know, directly about Labour in Scotland, and we'll see what comes up. Yeah, Steve, I agree with you there. It's very true. You're just frustrated by any progress towards independence. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Big numbers, I hope. Yeah, the march. We're going to come on to that in a second or two. I'm very much looking forward to the march tomorrow. I think it's going to be quite a good thing. I'm expecting about 10 to 15,000 people, which is good. Yeah, so yeah, Alba will not be contesting the seat at Ashbury. You're absolutely right. And I think that's the right thing to do, to be perfectly honest. I think Alba should be, in my opinion, from a tactical point of view, should remain a party on the list for the Scottish elections. Simply because they've got more opportunity to push out unionists from there. And we will do a really boring show on how the Scottish Parliament calculations on the list works. I did that all through the pandemic. I made spreadsheets for it. Crazy. Here we go.
Can tell I was bored.
Oh, I was bored, yeah. Quite amusing. According to the electoral commitment, there is no such entity as Scottish Labour. Yes, that is so true. So why are they standing candidates in Scotland? Now, this is interesting. So I don't know if you're aware of this, okay? Under rules by the Electoral Commission, you can have up to, I think it's 3 or 5 descriptions or 3 or 5 different logos for one party that's registered further south. All right. So for instance, Labour as an entity in the UK basically also trade as Scottish Labour, also trade as Welsh Labour. Okay. And they actually have their own brands and logos for that. But there's no such thing as a Scottish Labour Party. That is exactly the same for the Conservative Party and exactly the same for the Liberal Democrats. Okay. And as a whole, okay, the SNP, Alapa, okay, as a whole, the registered parts are in Scotland, but they don't field candidates south of the border. You know, so there's no. It'd be interesting if they could call it like I was going to say the English National Party, but that would just be a bit crazy, wouldn't it? Can you imagine how that would go for it all? Mental. Right, so let's have a look again in.
Can I just interject here a wee second and say,
yeah, go ahead.
A couple of years back, the singer Paloma Faith was on stage and says if the SNP could stand in England, she would vote for them. And I've seen a
Wow.
lot of people say that. A lot of people have told me that in Yorkshire, that they'd vote for the SNP in Yorkshire.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be interesting to see if that would happen.
I've been seeing a lot of
Wait.
that on Twitter as well. I've been seeing a lot of that on Twitter where people down south are saying that if the SNP fielded candidates there, they would actually vote for them.
That's mad. I don't know. I don't think that they'll ever do that, though, to be perfectly honest. What's the point, really, at the end of the day?
Can't be any worse than what they've got.
This is true. This is true. Right. So listen, see, at the end of the day, with regards to Labour, right? I genuinely don't trust them with the future of our country at all. The amount of flip-flopping and U-turns that they've been making on key policies that would help roll back the disaster that is Tory rule is embarrassing. And I have to say, listen, I used to actually vote Labour before the uplift of the SNP. I thought that they would deliver home rule and that would be a stepping stone towards independence. And it seemed that they were going to do that. They are the party of devolution, after all. They're the party that helped create the Scottish Parliament, even if the EU kind of forced them into it a little bit. But, you know, long story short, it's important to remember that they kind of pushed for this. And the old Labour folk, you know, before the pre-Tony Blair lot were quite into that whole thing. I mean, even Robin Cook said he was wanting to march Scottish Labour across the bridge to do a UDI at one point as well, if I believe rightly. Whether he said that or not, you know, it was a private conversation at a Labour Party conference, apparently. But I like to think that Robin Cook would have said that because I got to meet him a couple of times and he was a genuinely good guy when it came to Scottish stuff. What we've got to look at as well. Yeah, that's about it for Labour. Let's just have a quick look again in the chat, see if anybody's got anything.
They're very anti-socialist for a socialist party, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
A lot of the labour unions have actually pulled their funding anyway. They've been pulling their funding for about 5 years.
Yeah,
one by one.
Peter's got a good point there. It's always going to be a Labour or Tory Westminster as long as first past the post-electing system. Did you know, here's something for you, the only other country in Europe or the European continent as a whole that actually has first past the post in a very similar way that we do is Belarus. Belarus. I don't know if there was a comedy show one time when somebody was talking about Belarus being the sort of like the call center of Russia. And I'm not mocking Russia when I say this because my wife's Russian, and we both disagree with the war. But the impression was basically somebody coming on the phone and sort of like when they were phoning Russian, it would divert to Belarus and it would be go, "Hello, Belarus," like this. And I was just like, "Oh my God, I know 2 people from Belarus that actually speak like that with an English accent." So funny. It's quite amusing. I'm not taking the mickey, but that's what it was. Yeah, so first past the post, Belarus and the UK are the only ones that have that. You'd rather be with Minx than Westminster. That's funny. Oh man, I've got to put that up there. That's brilliant. That's a good one, Scott Sov. I like it. Keir Hardy, yeah, there's a good one. Would be spinning in his grave. You're absolutely right. And then Vinny also had the opportunity. Did you have the opportunity to meet Robin Cook as well? He's a good guy. He was one of my best friend's neighbours. That's how I got to know him, which is good. And then Helen's confirming what you were saying as well, Aaron, that the poll down south resulted in was amazing from Leeds that they would rather be on the Scottish side. Fantastic.
That's where all my family live, is Leeds.
What else is Helen? Another one from Helen. Do you know that Doncaster's actually still Scottish? Yes, it is, isn't it? That's that funny sort of like gifted to Scotland, wasn't it? I can't remember.
It was ceded, and that and a whole lot of lands were ceded to Scotland under the Treaty of Durham in like 1286 or something. I'm not entirely sure. Don't quote me on the year. There was about 3 or 4 Treaty of Durhams, but treaties of Durham. But that happened, and they never formally reclaimed Doncaster. So that's really funny.
Before we'll just finish up with a couple more comments here just now before we move on. Wolfpet, Labour has lied and lied to Scotland over a very long time. First of all, with the Crone report, and ever since. The devolution settlement was a trap, and the vow was the nail. Oh, just what do you think of Murray Foot, the architect of the vow, now being the chief executive of the SNP? I was going to do a piece on him tonight, but I'm leaving it till another night because it's like,
Right.
wow, it's just mental. What else we got here? Berwick upon Tweed is still at war with Russia. Yes, I remember that as well. There's lots of amazing things. Like, and PR was, I'm pretty sure, proportional representation, you're absolutely right, Peter, was in the manifesto for Labour in 1997. But there we go. Right, we are finished with Labour. Can you believe we've been rambling for 50 minutes? Waits now for Barry to say something sarcastic. You know, we don't have any buttons on this to do tumbleweedy sounds like we have on Discord. Yeah, Murray Foot, keep your enemies closer. That's a good way of doing it. You know something, I like to give anybody a chance. You know, I've got friends that voted no in 2014. One of them's watching just now, and he changed his mind. Okay, Murray Foot's got every right to change his mind, but I think he needs to come out and say, listen, hey, I wrote the vow. I screwed up. I really do. I think that he needs to come and say things, you know, but at the end of the day, I don't think he will. You know. Right. What do we want to go on to now? I think a bit of this, actually. Let's just bring this up. Yay! Tomorrow. Right. Tomorrow is the Believe in Scotland and Yes for EU March. I'm quite excited about this. I like Edinburgh marches, A, because it's in my home city and it's not far for me to get to, and B, right, it's probably one of the shortest marches in the whole of Scotland, right down the high street, and it looks great for pictures, aerial pictures above and everything. It's going to be a good day tomorrow. I am going to be a steward tomorrow as well. I am actually helping out at the march. I had my steward training. Would you believe I had my steward training yesterday on Zoom and met some of the Yes for EU folk and some other people and my team leader as well, which is going to be doing now. Dave, you're going to the march tomorrow, aren't you?
I am absolutely going to the march tomorrow. Which
Dave
is
is so
why
excited.
Actually,
yeah.
which is why
Sorry,
I'm
I just interrupted.
Which is why I'm actually in Edinburgh at the moment, because I am thoroughly looking forward to this one.
Dave was so excited. He came yesterday to Edinburgh. That's how excited. Isn't that right, Dave?
Yep, it is. Because I did arrive yesterday morning. Doesn't seem that long that I've been here, but I have been here that long already.
That's crazy.
And
yeah,
and I will definitely be at the march tomorrow.
Good. Anybody that's in the chat just now, are you coming to the march tomorrow? Okay, give us a yes, give us a thumbs up, give us whatever you want, okay? Because I think it's going to be a great day tomorrow. There's a lot of really cool speakers that are going to be there. Like, for instance, this is kind of, it's a bit more sort of, it feels more of a, I have a bit of a 2014 positive vibe about this, okay? When everybody was going for, I know you're not coming, Chris. You know, but we'll send you fuel money. We'll get you up here. All right. Okay, I swear to God, we'll all chip in. We'll do basically a crowdfunder for Chris to get up to Scotland for a weekend. I think we should do that. But yeah, we've got some people that we might not agree with, some people that we might agree with, like First Minister speaking, Lorna Slater speaking. We've got music by Ep05, Leslie Riddick speaking. We've got the head of business for Scotland, Gordon McIntyre Kemp, Jamie Hepburn, Linda Jackson, Claude Detres, Alistair Heather, and Kelly Given. There was supposed to be Brian, what's his name? What's his name again? Cox. Is it Brian Cox? Is that his name? Am I getting his name
the
wrong?
guy that's in that Billions and he's in...
Aye.
The actor.
Well,
the older guy.
Yeah, the actor. Yeah.
Aye, Brian Cox.
Yeah, so unfortunately he can't make it. because he has
His helicopter broke down.
no, he's got a case of COVID.
Oh, that's a shame. He's apparently a really
Yeah.
nice guy.
Apparently, yeah. I don't know. I don't know him, but
Dog and
so
dog.
yeah. So I think this is going to be Brian Cox from Succession. That's right. I
What
just
did I say?
realised that the only person that's used Hackett tonight is Aaron. I'm just looking at the chat. There will be nae Hackett women on our march, says Hashbury. He's used it. So you're beating us. I don't think I'm going to have time to get through this. Maybe I will. I don't know. To get the word Hackett into it. Right. So it's just that caught my eye with Hashbury in the chat there just now. Damn it, I've lost my progress again. Let's go back to the pictures. Right, so it starts tomorrow, assembling at 1:30 on Johnson Terrace, and they're looking to step off on the march at about 2:00, depending on how many people turn up. If there's too many people to accommodate on Johnson Terrace, the police might ask us to step off a bit early, or it might be a bit later. Right at the front will be the band, the pipe band, followed by the banners of Believe in Scotland and Yes for EU, and then behind that will be the people with mobility scooters and wheelchairs and things. They're going to be right at the front, and that's where I'm going to be. And I'm going to be down there, and Dave's going to be marching at that place as well. That bit for us as well.
I'm going to be right at the front as well, like you.
That's
That'll
good.
be good.
But you have to promise us not to put your turbo boost on your chair. All right? No running the.
I'll try not.
Yeah.
I'll try not to do that.
That'd be good. No, it's super exciting.
I think the funny thing is about the Royal Mile is that it usually takes me about 10 minutes to walk a mile, but I think it took me like 20 minutes, half an hour to walk the Royal Mile, which makes no sense. It's like it just lengthens as you're walking down it. It's really funny.
It's I like it. I like the Edinburgh March because it is the shortest march. Okay, it goes right. It's just a straight line all the way down. They've closed off 2 out of the 3 roads that dissect the Royal Mile as well. So the only road that the march has to actually stop at is going to be Northbridge. Okay, because they need to keep that open for the buses going to and from Newington and stuff. So we'll be able to march round from Johnson Terrace. Now, at the top of the Royal Mile there, okay, it's set up with street furniture for the festival. So there's like what they call like big planters going down the side. Okay, so it kind of bottlenecks a little bit. So the first part of the march might be a wee bit slow to get through. Okay, unless we're at the front. Okay, which we will be, Dave. Lucky for us. Okay, but people mid to the back might be sort of like doing that caterpillar thing, going along to get through that. But once you're through that, it'll be like a straight road down to Northbridge, where there'll be marshals and stewards there to help stop people from going across the road, and the police will direct traffic to keep it nice and safe. Then once we get through that little part, it's a straight road down to Holyrood, where they'll have everything set up for the whole shebang. Honest to God, regardless of the speakers and whatever happens, I'm really curious to see what First Minister's got to say, and what the Minister for Independence has got to say. I've never seen him speak live. I know that some people don't like Humza. I know that some people are not inspired by him, but he's not a bad public speaker, for it all. And I think that if we looked at these people as being activists rather than personalities, I think that's a positive way to go with it all. Okay. All I want this is to inject a bit of positivity and like a good vibe into the independence movement again, as it seems to be a bit shadowy and controversial with various different things recently for it all. But yeah,
I'm just wondering if Manky Jack.
Manky Jack.
Yeah, Alistair. Yeah, they've last night they talked about counter demos and how we deal with them and things like that, which is quite interesting. They'll be expecting one. They'll be expecting. There's a great question there from Steve again there. Why is there a division from all under one banner? They started marches for 5 or 6 years. I don't think it's a division. I think that you've got other people that do marches as well, which is yes to or yes for independence or something, or indie. There was the first march in Edinburgh this year that myself and a bunch of Saorsa people went to in Edinburgh wasn't an all under one banner march. So all under one banner is just one organization. Their marches are always brilliant. I love going to them. There's always a buzz as well. But this is the first time that Beleive in Scotland have done a march. In conjunction with somebody else. So yeah, I think it's going to be quite good. Any march is good, to be perfectly honest, at the end of the day. If we've got a march that's done by all under one banner, or done by Beleive in Scotland, or by the other group of people, or even if we were to do a march, let's organise a march for ourselves. But at the end of the day, it's a demonstration of our willingness to come together as a collective. And it should be represented that way, that it's not a political thing. It's more of an ideological thing, an ability to express our right for self-determination as a whole, which is good. Okay, let's have a look what else we got here in the old chit chats. Yeah, is that 200,000 one? Was that the one in Edinburgh pre-COVID, Steve? Because if it was, I was at that one too. And that was the first one I took my kids to, which was great. Absolutely great.
There was a big one in Glasgow. There was about 100,000, supposedly.
Yeah, there's before COVID, the marches were massive, absolutely massive. It was a buzz. But I think
Sorry, I think I was just about to say the exact same thing as you. I think the marches lost traction just when COVID hit. Because we had...
Yeah, and that understandable though, wasn't it? We couldn't go out and do stuff for it all. Heather's got a wee comment there as well. You bought your bus ticket, sorted accommodation, but physical disability has decided it's not happening. Scunnered. Have an absolute proud day. Get these saltires flying. Absolutely. We will wave our flags for you, Heather, as well. Yeah, and yeah, Hashbury's saying, if you can't make it to Edinburgh, please join us on Independence Live, without a doubt. So I will be plugging Independence Live across all my platforms tomorrow morning with the links as well, to make sure that people can see it. My mum's even going to try and log in, Hashbury, for that. That's going to be funny, getting her to log into that. Let's have a quick look what else we got here. Hackett, Manky Jacket. I like that one.
Jacket.
Moving down, yeah. So the chain, Chris, there's a march on the same day as the chain in October. Yeah, we're going to come on to a bit about the chain in a minute as well. But without a doubt, the whole thing to do with that was just a pure accident that happened. Wow, but the chain, we will talk about chain in a minute, because I think that's an amazing initiative for something separate to talk about. So Wolfpet says, it's never been to any of the Edinburgh rallies, couldn't march because I didn't know where I could park to be able to get to Holyrood. It's possible park to get public transport to within 200 meters. You could park at there's buses on my street on part of Edinburgh that I live in. I live in the which part of Edinburgh do I live in again? What's the best? Well, you can get there's parking round where I stay, and there's buses that go straight into town. It take 10 minutes to go into. And that's what Aaron was going to do. He was going to come and park at my bit.
When I'm not going to reload off in most parking spaces, what I usually do when I'm in Edinburgh, if I'm driving through, I drive along the M8 and I park at Hermiston Gate at Edinburgh Park Station. I can actually park in the Tesco car park because I work for Tesco. So that's funny.
You're lucky, mate. Lucky.
I can't get a fine for it, so that's why I do it. and then I just jumped the tram into Edinburgh city centre and walked down.
Amazing.
That's what I do.
Right, let's wrap up with this just now. I've got a picture of the route as well. 1 second, and here it is coming up now. So this is the route. I couldn't get a bigger map to show you, but the orange line is the actual route, with the one on the left-hand side being Johnson Terrace, the pink line being Johnson Terrace, coming up to the starting point, which is the yellow line, and going all the way down to the Parliament building. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be great. I'm very excited. I like a good march. I like a good vibe with lots of cool people and everything. And if you're coming, look out for me and Dave as well. Dave and I will be near the front, and we'll be trying to sneak into the green room tent to get selfies with all the talkers as well. We'll blame it on you, Dave, that you can't control your mobility scooter, and we'll just crash the party. Okay, mate? That's what we'll do. That would be fun. I'll take control of it.
Let's just crash the party.
That would be funny. Yep. Right. Okay. So let's move on to the next little bit, just to wrap up with. This is really important to us. This is our little celebration thing. Now we have quite a presence on TikTok. Is kind of our battleground just now. And Saorsa was kind of born, Saorsa was created to be like a non-partisan digital campaigning group, one where it didn't matter what political affiliation you have, as long as you were willing to campaign for independent Scotland, where every sovereign Scot counts. Every sovereign Scot, every Scotsman, every Scotswoman, every man, woman, and child in Scotland, where everybody counts, right? There was no membership fee, there's no fundraising, and everything is purely voluntary. And we campaign quite hard. And a measure of to actually measure ourselves to see if we were reaching people, because we were such a tiny little campaigning group. We've not got many people that do things. We created a hashtag a way back in May the 15th this year, and I've been tracking it. And let me bring this up just now and show you. Okay, so under this hashtag, this is just on TikTok, and it's our personal hashtag, Saorsascot. Okay, we have had in the UK over 2 million views on that hashtag. And I'm not one to sort of like be humble about this, because I'm really proud of the work that the guys and girls in Saorsa have done, whether that be the creators that make content, whether that be the people that support us directly by sharing and commenting and doing things like that. It's a big deal to us. It gives us a little bit of credibility with regards to the amount of people we can reach. I mean, 150,000 views for a tiny little niche campaigning group is something to be proud of. I'm not going to bang on about this, but it's something that we all should be proud for waving our flags. We set ourselves a goal to reach 1 million views on this hashtag by Christmas. We actually hit 1 million about 3 weeks ago, and then over the past 3-4 weeks, we've hit 2 million in the UK as well. You can see by that red line is a downward trend. That's because there's not been much content made over the past couple of days. But I'm really proud of everybody that uses the hashtag. Really, I've got to be really grateful and thank every single one of these that engage with us on TikTok for this. I also share everything on Instagram, and I tend to sort of like just share but not engage as much on Twitter, because Twitter can be a bit of a toxic minefield sometimes, and it scares me. I'll be honest with you, it scares me. Okay, but yeah, which is good. What do you think of that, guys?
I think it's absolutely amazing, the fact that it's gone as high as that.
Your microphone's a wee bit roboty there. I don't know if anybody else is hearing. It might be me, because this happened to me last week. Please tell me if David sounds like a robot just now, or is it my headset again? Because my headset did it last week as well, last time we were on too. What do you think, Karen? Oh, nice sneeze.
I hate sneezing. It's horrible, man.
Oh no, I think it's my headset. Hold on.
Oh, great. So
Hold
I'm
on.
just going to
There we
stand
go.
here
Hope
and
I
I'm
can
just
hear
going
you
to
now.
talk.
Yes, it is mine. It's not you, it's me.
We should
Right,
all
talk.
be very proud of being who we are as patriots of Scotland. Somebody says to me once that the whole point in being a nationalist is that you want your country to be superior. But we do want Scotland to do better. That is why we are doing what we do. So we can have a country that is better than what it is right now. Under the Tories and Labour and the oppressive boot of Westminster, we will never be the Scotland that we need to be. So we're just gonna have to keep doing what we do and hopefully get there very, very soon.
And we will keep pushing. Dave, now that I can hear you properly, I'm going to hand the stage back to yourself so you can have a bit of a comment on the success of our little campaigning troop.
Yeah, well, personally, I think it's been absolutely amazing the fact that in such a short time we've actually got that many views. That it shows the message is getting out of there. And I would ask everybody just to keep doing whatever you're doing, whether it's making content, whether it's sharing, commenting, whatever. Please keep doing it because we still need to get the message out there.
No, I agree completely. It's the whole effort from little groups like ourselves, little pockets of yes groups all around the country. We do make an impact right across the whole of Scotland, and it's something that we should be proud of at the end of the day. And we're always looking for people to come and learn what we do and do what we do. So looking at this, I've put this together just now. So it's a massive thank you to everyone who have engaged with us on TikTok. 2 million views on Saorsa, #Saorsascot, since the 15th of May this year on TikTok. It's a big deal to us. And we'll continue to do things like this all the time. We campaign for independent Scotland where every sovereign Scot counts. As we said, we are all volunteers with our time. We don't fundraise for anything at all. You can see that if I bring this off just now, hold on, that I'm wearing a Saorsa cap. Aaron is wearing a Saorsa t-shirt, and tomorrow Dave will be wearing his Saorsa hoodie, I hope. Good sir.
Can I just say, I look like I just scored for Scotland in the World Cup there.
That's never going to happen.
That's never going to happen.
You can't even kick a ball, mate. So yeah, anyway. So going back to my picture here just now.
Yeah, I'll say that.
We're all volunteers with our time, and we all believe thoroughly in independence as a whole. But we'd also, like to encourage other people to come in and join us and help us and push for a positive campaign across the digital battlefield, because that is where we will win a younger generation. That is where we will have our biggest impact in combating the mainstream media as well. So if anybody at any time wants to come and hang out with us on our Discord server, if anybody wants to come and see what we do, send us an email at info@saorsascot.com. That's the easiest way to get in touch with us. And that way, it's important as well, though, that if you do want to come and hang out with us and join us, that you do send us your social media links. Now, there's a reason for that, and I'll look right into the camera for this one. It's so we can check that you're not a troll. I'll be honest with you, okay? If you don't send us your accounts that we can just see who you are, or if we don't know you from interacting already, I'm very reluctant to let you come into the Discord server. Now, there's a reason for that. Is it's a safe space for people that are independently minded to come and hang out and speak freely without open criticism from unionists. It's not a debating chamber. It is a place where people can come and feel safe to talk about independence. So that is why we kind of police the people coming into the Discord quite strongly. So info@saorsascot.com is the place to send a wee email to with your links, or you can send them to me on any of my platforms at all across the internet for that, so you can contact me. And you'd be welcome. You don't have to come and hang out every night. Like I say, it's a voluntary thing. You can come and chill once a week and chill every 2 weeks. We've got people that have not been in for 3 or 4 weeks and then stopped by a couple of nights ago, and it was a pleasure to speak to them. And they're still, active Saorsa members. They're still sharing stuff. They're still basically contributing with the hashtag as well. So it's an important thing, and we like to share. Is my mic crackling? Chris, is that? Hold on. 1 second. Is that better? Let's gently stroke my microphone.
That's better, because it was crackling a little bit.
Okay, it might have been my raspy voice, Dave. I don't think so. Right. Let me know if my mic's better now, please. Dave says it is, but people in the side chat, let me know if it's okay. Right, we're just about done for the night. Trolling the trolls on TikTok. Good. I tend to ignore the trolls, Steve, as 100% thing. It's not really for me at all. Right. Last thing to finish off with tonight, guys. Have you got anything you want to add to the conversation before I wrap up for the evening?
Yeah. Could I just respond to one of the comments in here? It's not on the screen now, but it was Hashberry that commented.
Okay, what one was it?
No, we're not pretending that Scotland's superior to everyone else. We're just striving to be better than we are at the moment.
Yes.
Strive for a better land.
Better than we are.
Cool.
Or doing better than we are in the UK anyway, within the UK anyway. But we're not pretending to be. We're not pretending to be superior.
Yeah. Right. 2 things to wrap up with tonight. The first one is the Chain of Freedom. If you have not signed up to the Chain of Freedom, go and sign up to it. Just go to chainoffreedom.scot. Is it Chain of Freedom? Chainoffreedom.scot. Yeah, and sign up to it. Look where it's going. This is like the massive human chain on the 14th of October that will go from Edinburgh right across the canal system to the west coast as well. Or we can say that it's starting on the west coast and coming all the way to the canals over here. Depending where you live will depend where you feel the starting point will be. No animosity whatsoever. Whatsoever at all. So I would strongly suggest that we all get on board with the Chain of Freedom. I'm definitely going to it. I've got about another dozen people that are going to be attending in my little bit. It's well worthwhile doing it. Go and follow all their socials, share all their stuff, talk about this is basically the next big project for Saorsa. Is basically I'm going to be talking about this non-stop to get people involved with this so we can get as many people there as possible. It is a big old deal for me, and I hope for you guys too, for it all. And that's really about it. Anybody got anything else to say before we finish? Do you want to say, Aaron, say your goodbyes, please?
I was going to add the random fact that cranberries are hollow.
Cranberries
are hollow, and when they harvest them, they flood the field, so they float. And the farmers use wolf spiders as a natural pesticide. And then people kid on them and scared of spiders.
Did you look that up deliberately as a random fact, or is it just
no? Actually, it was
part of your brain.
It was. This is how I get 90% of my random facts, and I fact checked them, and it's true. It's YouTube Shorts. I turn on YouTube Shorts. I'll just scroll through them because you can go through hours with it. Stop them, and that was one of them.
Aaron. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you. You just stay at home tomorrow. Don't come to the march, all right?
All right,
Yeah,
fine.
didn't really
I'm not
wanna-
coming to the match.
I'm only
Yeah,
joking.
yeah.
I'm not
We
coming.
did. We didn't. We
Jump.
didn't really need it. We didn't need those random facts, Aaron.
I've got hundreds of random facts. I can give you Scottish random facts if you want.
Hold on. This is probably one of the best comments of tonight.
Not as many times as you.
We'll have a chat about that in the Discord server afterwards. That's funny.
I'm getting removed for the Discord.
Yeah, Barry has the power of the Discord. Right, have you got anything you want to say good before we go, Dave?
Yeah. Looking forward to seeing as many of you as possible tomorrow that are going to be there. If not, please get involved in either the Chain of Freedom on the 14th of October or unfortunately, the march that's clashing in Edinburgh that day.
You're not getting to reply to
But
that, Aaron.
looking forward-
Right.
Ah,
Right, good. Listen, boys, thank you so much for being on the show tonight. It's been a bit of a longer one than usual. We usually try and cut it to about an hour, but there's a lot to talk about. I'm just going to do my signy offy bit. So give us a wave, goodbye. Listen, everybody that's in the chat, if you're wanting to come and see us tomorrow, we'll be at the front of the actual pack tomorrow. I'd love to get as many pictures with as many people as I possibly can for the Saorsa People Instagram. That's purely the one which, if I take pictures of people, I like to put things on for it all. So if you see me, if you see Dave, you know, ask where I am as well. I want to get as many pictures. I'll be taking so much footage tomorrow as well. I have my bullhorn. I will be shouting and cheerleading as we go along with everything too. Gentlemen, thank you very much for tonight. I am now going to sign everybody off. Give us a wave. Just say cheerio. And
take care, folks.
I will
Watch out for the wolf spiders.
I am now going to mute you both so I can finish up. Listen, it's always a pleasure to come and take up your time on a live stream. I appreciate all the support that we've had across TikTok and our other platforms, and very much so here as well with people watching it on Independence Live. But I want to finish tonight with just maybe a minute's worth of thoughts about Sandy again. So listen, thank you very much for watching. I hope to see some of you tomorrow. Goodbye and good luck. Everybody.